Hello and welcome to the Magic Manifesting Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Monica, and today we're here with Lynn, who is an evidential psychic medium. If you're new here, let me tell you a little bit about this podcast. So it's a little woo woo, a little nerdy, and a whole lot of heart. The Magic Manifesting Mindset Podcast is your space to shift your energy, realign your mindset, and trust your innate gifts. But ultimately, it's to become abundant AF. Not only do we talk about the woo, but we discuss the science, the psychology, and the practical ways to manifest our desires and make that money. So let's get started. And Lynn, for those of you who are new to your world, can you break down what exactly it is that you do and how your craft works? And this could be also including, how you serve others.
Okay, so as an evidential psychic medium, I perceive things about people that I wouldn't otherwise know. I also pick up on if a spirit of a loved one or a friend or whatever is connecting with them or trying to communicate. I'll pick up on that. I go to locations on tours and I read the locations. I pick up on historical information. I share that with somebody that's researched the location and can validate what I say. And the practical thing about what I do is that it changes people's perceptions about how they relate to not only the living, but also those who came before them. So it's a perspective shift in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And for me, I mean, that just sounds so exciting. That's not a skill that I have, but gosh, I wish I did. That's so cool. And the fact that you're able to have it, validated too for people when you reach out to people who know more about the history of a place, that also that helps them trust you even further. I mean, of course your gifts, they're wonderful, but there's a lot of skepticism in mediumship and all of the psychic clairs as well. And so to be able to have that validated, I think really helps as well. But I think what's cool too is that this the able to be able to have you there can really help people understand more about whether it's a place or themselves because maybe they have an ancestor that is trying to contact them, or they are, you know, they're trying to figure out something in their life. And by having that guide, then they're able to get more information. So that's wonderful. So, can you take us back to the moment that you decided that this was the path for you? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Actually, I have always been able to see and hear spirit. My first imaginary friend was my grandfather, who passed away 4 years before I was born.
So,
I did
not
not
quite
know.
imaginary.
Yeah, he was not imaginary, but nobody ever spoke about him, and I'd never seen a photograph of him. I found out when I was about 8 years old who it was who I'd been talking to all that time.
Wow.
But this has been a lifelong thing. And the thing is, because I was born into an Irish Catholic family, and this is in no way intended to be offensive to
Oh, yeah, of course
anyone's
not.
faith at all, but I was told that what I was doing was evil.
Mm.
And so I spent a good part of 6 decades trying to purge it from me
Mm.
by joining multiple religions. I've been baptized 5 times. I think I'm pretty good right now on that
I think so too.
yeah. Um, the problem is the more I tried to make it go away, the stronger it got. And now what's happened is now that I'm almost 65, and a spirit is not going to let me skate. In other words, I can choose not to do this, perfectly fine, but I'm going to be constantly poked at until my last day here.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
So
They're not going to leave you be. That's for
that's
sure.
right. And then when I turned 60, I had multiple things happen. I lost my father. I lost my mother-in-law, not my mother-in-law, I'm sorry, my stepmother, within 6 months of each other. And I had also lost 6 other relatives within a very short span of time.
Goodness, I'm so
Um,
sorry for all those losses.
it was pretty insane. And what happened is about 6 months after my stepmother passed away, my father, my stepmother, and my real mother, who passed away when I was 8, they all visited me. I was awake.
Oh, wow.
And so we had this extended discussion about how I handled things after they passed away. They had messages to give to my brothers. They said that they were all friends now in the space they're in now. They didn't tell me what the name of the space was, but I'm going to say heaven for all intents and purposes.
Right.
Um, and then they each individually hugged me and left.
Aw.
So that happened. And then from that moment on, spirits were coming through right and left. Random
Oh, no.
people. I had no idea who these people were. And they would just come to me and they'd be like, I need to tell you something so you can so you can contact this person and give them this message. Um, I didn't know what to do with it. I had never worked with this ability before. And it got out of hand. I couldn't sleep. They loved to catch me in that space where you're falling asleep but not actually asleep.
Right.
And so, big time insomnia, constant talking. So I found a few things online. I joined an intuitive class. I spent, I think, I don't know, 3 months in that. And then I took an oracle card reading class, which I have no idea why I did that. I had one deck. Somebody gave me a deck as a gift. And I was like, okay, I really don't know what to do with this. So I joined this class, and I was in that class for 2 years. So it became an issue of me learning how to set boundaries
Right.
between me and the spirits, um, how to focus, hone in on how I was communicating with them and how they were communicating with me. And it's, a lot of people, they're like, well, I see a cardinal and it's my uncle. There's a lot
Right.
of that. And there is some truth to that, but it's more complicated than that. So I had to learn all those things.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely understand that, especially because you had mentioned a bird, we have cardinals around here where I live. And when my dad passed away, there was one that was acting really strange. And so um, I felt like it was like my dad being like, hello. But at the same time, I'm also like, yeah, but we also just have like a bunch of cardinals around here. And maybe it was just acting strange. So
Right.
like there's that point where like sometimes we're looking for answers, or we're looking for some sort of communication with a past loved one, and
Mhm.
so we will assume that it's something, and sometimes it's not, but they may still be there, they may
Right.
still be communicating with you, just maybe not in always the way that you think that it is. So I
Right.
totally get that.
Yeah, we want validation that our loved ones are still here because we're constantly being told that in some way they're looking down on us or they're existing in a separate space. The fact
Yeah.
of the matter is they're existing in the same space we're in, only their space is ideal and ours isn't.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I made a deal with my dad. First of all, after he passed, I said, if you're going to be around me, I need a particular sign. And I chose a certain white butterfly that is sort of indigenous to the place I live. Okay.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
said, if you're around, Dad, you know, show up as the white butterfly. So,
Right.
and sure enough, um, one situation I had where he loved Thanksgiving, he loves mincemeat pie, and I can't stand it, but I make one for him every year. And so
Oh,
it's November, it's, like Thanksgiving Day. I'm walking outside, it's freezing cold. Now, there should not be a single butterfly anywhere.
no.
And I was walking outside and because I live in Southern Maryland. It was cold here. And I'm walking outside and I said, Dad, I made your pie. I just want you to know I'm thinking his birthday is also around Thanksgiving, so that makes it a little bit more meaningful. But
Right.
um anyway, I'm out there and I'm just nothing's going on. There's no bugs, there's nothing. And I mentioned the pie and all of a sudden I'm like, you're kidding me. Right? But that's what he does. And the other thing he did was he says, when I get over to the other side, I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to learn how to do something really cool. So about 6 months after I had this visit with my parents, I'm sitting in my bedroom and my dad is talking to me from across the room, literally voice. You can hear him audibly. And it really freaked me out.
Yeah, I
And
can
I'm like,
imagine.
because creating audible voice that we can hear and understand on our side is probably the most difficult thing that spirit can do. And he
Oh,
figured it out. And then he said to me, I taught your stepmother how to do it.
oh, wow.
So she shows up a few days later and she does the same thing. And
Wow.
they did it for a while. And then I said, look, I can't deal with this. It's just making me a little, I mean, they were being themselves, and my dad thought it was super funny, to sort of, hey, you know.
Right.
Um, and so anyway, I asked them to please stop doing that, But he was so proud of himself that he taught himself to do something cool from the other side,
Yeah, no, of course.
just proving his point.
So, um, this just makes me wonder, how do you feel about those like spirit boxes, where it like there's apps and there's like actual physical ones where, basically depending on the, I don't know, energy or frequency that a spirit can say certain words through the box. How do you feel about those? Like, do you feel like those are legit or there's too much interference or it's too hard or do you feel like they actually do work?
Um, I don't really put much stock in it. And I know, paranormal investigators are going to argue with me on this point, and that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, when you have a device and you're not really sure why it's working,
Right?
you're going to get like false positives,
Yes.
and you're also going to hear what you want to hear.
Right. Yeah,
I
exactly.
just stayed at a local inn that's historic, and I used one of those ghost app things. And all I got from it was the Latin name for orchid.
Oh, that's
I didn't
weird.
get anything else. And, but I'm like, I know that there's somebody in the room with me from the minute I
Right.
got there. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know how much stock I put into this. Now they can take it maybe and improve it and
Yeah.
tweak it somehow and make it more, I don't know. I don't even want to say accurate because like I said, we hear what we want to hear,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So
you
that's
know?
kind of how I feel like I take it as like a fun little thing. Now there's a few times that I've used it where I felt like it was legitimate, like I could so I don't personally have that much like my mediumship isn't something that's very strong with me. There's like a teeny tiny little bit that I have,
Mhm.
and I can pick up on, but for the most part, that's not really a skill that I have. And so like there were a few times I was like, oh, this is legit, but I've used it quite a few times because it's a fun for me. It's like a
It
fun
is
party trick,
fun. It is fun, yeah.
especially if you're going through area like I went through New Orleans one time and I used it,
Mm.
or went through this like rural area in in Wisconsin, and there was like all of these cemeteries, and so I was like, oh well, this might be fun, right? So, but still, a lot of it's really random stuff that just doesn't make sense, you know? And like you ask it a question and then like it still doesn't make sense, you know?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
it just it seems very random, but it is fun. And occasionally I do think that something can pop up that's good. But I also feel like there's a lot of interference that comes with it. Like if you're around too many electronics, if you're around too much water, I've noticed that it starts acting kind of wonky. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I totally agree with you there. So now you've already told me like with your parents how all of that went. So you might count that as this, but let me just ask you anyways. So, what's a recent moment related to your craft that felt like a real life magic moment? This could
Okay.
either be for you or for someone else.
So I did a reading for someone. Now I am working with a gentleman named Adam. He's local here, and he runs a gig called Spooky Solomon's, which is historical ghost tours.
Oh,
So
cool.
he's researched the area. I live in Calvert County, Maryland, and he's researched a place called Solomon's down here. It's a little waterman town, that's now just sort of a quaint little place. And anyway, he has a friend who decided she wanted to get a reading from me. And we went through the whole reading. And my readings typically last an hour. Sometimes they'll run longer because I just talk a lot. And anyway, we were like 45 minutes into the reading, and I was getting distressed because I thought I wasn't helping her in any way. It was
Right,
just confusing. So anyway, I said, look, I'm going to pull one more card. You know, it, if we have to redo this reading because you weren't helped, I'm more than happy to do that. We can set up another day, but I'm going to pull one more card. So on a gaff, when I created my Oracle card deck, I put in something called the Happy Squirrel card. It's actually in relation to an episode of The Simpsons, and I
oh,
can find the link and share it with you at some point. But anyway, usually I take that card out of the deck before I do a reading because it really doesn't mean anything.
right.
Well, I pull up the Happy Squirrel card and I turn it around and I show it to her. Now, during the whole reading, there was a woman standing like right behind me, and she's gesturing and she's doing like this, like get on with it to me, right? And I kept mentioning the woman standing behind me. Flip over the Happy Squirrel card. The woman said nothing the whole time she was standing behind me for the first 45 minutes. Then, when I turned the card over, she says, just tell her that's everything in a nutshell. Okay? Well, turns out there's a kind of a running joke in their family where everybody in the family gets a squirrel name.
Oh, so that's perfect. That was very fitting then.
And and here's the thing, her father's squirrel name is Nutshell.
Oh,
It was her grandmother that was communicating. And the
wow.
and the reason I mentioned the connection with Adam is because Adam had actually, before she had her reading done, Adam is very skeptical, very, very skeptical. He's like analytical, doesn't believe in psychics. You know, I've been working with him since the middle of June. Okay.
Right.
So something's going on there. But anyway, he basically went, he said, I asked if there's anything real about this or whatever, to please get her in touch with, I think he specifically said her grandmother, I think.
Oh, wow. So now that
Yeah.
kind of helps him believe a little bit more.
Right, right. So yeah, so it was a crazy read because I never have that card in the deck when I do a reading for somebody. I when they if somebody would were to buy the deck, it would be in the deck, obviously.
Right.
But I never use it during readings. I always pull it out and set it aside. This time I didn't. And this time that card had meaning for that specific person at that specific time after that specific request was made for that person by a total skeptic.
That's awesome.
So
I love that.
it was wild. It was
That's
really wild.
that's so cool. And so what is one aligned action or a piece of advice that you could give our listeners to shift their energy or to make their transition into this kind of world a little bit easier?
Speak out loud to your loved ones who have crossed over.
I like
You
that.
know,
That's good advice.
we actually spend a lot of time thinking about them and hoping we'll see a sign that they're there. We have this whole list of things, the butterflies, the cardinals, the white feathers, the dragonflies, people leaving dimes, they find a dime and they think it's their loved one that left the dime.
Right.
What we forget is that we are actually right where they are. Their space is an overlay of where we are. It's just a different dimension. And so we just need to talk to them out loud, because when we do that, we are acknowledging that, yes, you are present. We know you're present. We know you can hear us. And maybe we'll get a chance to hear you. And that makes it less, because we woo it,
Right. Mm-hmm.
we try to put meaning where there, or signals where there aren't signals. And yet they're literally right here with us all the time. They're not looking
Right.
down on us. They're sitting beside us. They're behind us. They're making gestures, whatever they're doing. And so when you speak out loud to them, you're doing two things. You're acknowledging that they are present and that they can hear you. And you're also reinforcing that within yourself, that communication is not closed. It's constant.
Yeah, that's good. And that makes people, if they do that, that makes it to where they will feel closer to their loved ones, feel maybe not as sad the fact that they're gone. So I like
Right.
that. I
Yeah,
like
because
that.
they're not gone. I mean,
Exactly.
they're not visibly present with us or physically present, but they're right here.
Right, exactly.
So, and that's the whole point of it. And that actually can help people to actually make that connection energetically with their loved one, and then you
Yeah.
can make agreements to say, you could even go as far as saying, okay, if I call the pizza place and order a pineapple and ham pizza, and I get an anchovy pizza instead, that's my signal that you're communicating with me. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? You can stretch it as far as you want. And if they want to give you that signal, they will send you that anchovy pizza. See?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So we don't have to limit it to a small set of signals of presence.
I like that. I like that. And now, as we close the circle that is this podcast, what's one thing you'd like to leave our listeners with, whether it's something you're creating, something you love, or simply where they can find you?
Okay, well, where they can find me is on Facebook. I'm listed as Winged Spirit Oracle on Facebook.
And I'll share your links in the description show notes.
Yeah. I do offer one-on-one readings on Zoom or in email. I do email readings, which is surprising. Um, I love what I do. And I am sort of a storyteller. So if you hit my Facebook page and you see a long post, I've been writing lately about people that are, famous psychic mediums from the past, or I've investigated it. I'm doing a whole series on that now. And the other thing is on the school community, that's skool.com. They're going to be holding a summit in May. and I'm going to be a speaker at that summit. So
Oh, that's exciting.
yeah, so I'm hearing 4,500 people are going to be watching.
I could see that. Yeah.
So I'll be doing an interview with the host that runs the summit. So I'm like really stepping out of my comfort zone on a lot of things, and I'm starting to do local oracle card reading training classes, and
Oh,
I'll be doing
nice.
those yeah, and I'll be offering that on school also at some point. So that will come probably after the summit because there's a lot of prep for that, but
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of stuff going on. Yeah, I'm telling you everything. Okay. So I'm going with my friend Adam. We're going to go do a cemetery tour about third week of May and a psychic ghost tour sometime in May. And, the fun just never stops.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, I will post all of that, like I said, in the show notes of this podcast so everybody can get access to all of the things and find out where to find you and where they can connect with you. And I've read some of your posts and they might be long but they're engaging. I'm like, "Oh, what's happening next? What's happening next?" So, definitely, I like them. So, and I
Thank
think that
you.
a lot of other people will too. So so that's good. So thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. We have been speaking with Lynn, an evidential psychic medium, and it has just been an absolute pleasure. And you guys have been listening to the Magick Manifesting Mindset podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.